Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to LifePoint Community Church this morning. We are mid-August, halfway through August, almost fall, almost time to start school again, get back to some kind of routine for those that have kids in university or school. And I'm looking forward to getting back to church. And we do plan on doing that September 12th. And so excited to do this journey with you. This message this morning is from Bruxy from the Meeting House, and it's a shorter message, and he's talking about compassion. He's talking about hope for the church. And he's getting the same questions as what I'm getting. When are we going to get back to church? All the other churches seem to be back. Why aren't we getting back? And I hear this and I understand this. And I'm so looking forward to getting back together with you. We just wanted to take the August to kind of revision, refocus, just get some things planned out and ready to start with a big bang in September. So I hope that you've been able to enjoy August by just watching this service at your leisure and not worrying about having to be somewhere on a Sunday morning, because I think that's important too, especially during COVID. Now that you're able to get out a little bit more, then take that opportunity to get away for the day, go up to a beach or a cottage or just to a park somewhere, just to do something with the family. And we don't want church to kind of, be in the way of you building relationships, because that's really important as well. But I do know that church is important, and we cannot wait to get back with you. The life moments that we did this past week on Friday, I talked about the law of contribution and how the church can be a fantastic place for us to practice that and to be that contribution to other people and to add value to people. So I do realize the importance of church, and I love church, and I can't wait to get back into church with you. So listen to today's sermon from Bruxy. It's only about 20 minutes long, and try to, pick some pieces from it. We're not going to be doing the after party as he's talking about, but I do invite you. I invite you on a journey with me. I've been going through a book called What Are You Known For? And I've been talking about this in the Life News and through the Life Moments. Being a person, being a church, being a business that is known in the community or known to others. And I want to invite you on a journey with me as I go through this book and through this study. I want to take you through this now that I've been through it myself. Take a number of people from LifePoint through this, and we can really hone into what we are known for in the community. I want to build that. I want to be a church where we're helping people. I want to be a church where if we disappeared, then we would be missed. And that's not to brag or to be, to just to be here tomorrow kind of mentality. It's to really make an impact on people's lives. People are hurting. People need the church. People need you to contribute to them. And I invite you on this journey, and I invite you to go along in this study with me. There is details in the Life News about this. I haven't set a date yet because I want to see how many of you are wanting to go on this journey with me. But I think it could be very powerful in establishing what we do in the next weeks, months, years to come. So please enjoy the service this morning. I really look forward to getting back with you, and we'll be in touch. Take care. Bye now.
Today, our teaching time is shared between this shorter sermon and some extended time with our local parishes via Zoom. It's good to be the church together. Right now, this is the time to open our Bibles and get ready to learn. In his second letter to the church in a town called Corinth, the Apostle Paul writes, For when we came into Macedonia, we had no rest, but we were harassed at every turn, conflicts on the outside, fears within. But God, who comforts the downcast, comforted us by the coming of Titus, and not only by his coming, but also by the comfort you had given him. He told us about your longing for me, your deep sorrow, your ardent concern for me, so that my joy was greater than ever. The Apostle Paul, 2 Corinthians chapter 7, verses 5 to 7. When Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. So he began teaching them many things. The book of Mark, chapter 6, verse 34.
Hi, friends. So we're going to take a few minutes to talk about hope and the church. And we're going to look to Jesus as our example. I want to share a passage with you that, for me, has breathed hope into my understanding of the church. And it's just one or two verses. And we've just read through them, and we're going to take a look at them in 2 Corinthians chapter 7. And so if you haven't already, this is the time to get out your Bible. I want you to see it for yourself. 2 Corinthians chapter 7. We're just going to look at one or two verses, but it's meaningful. It's interesting because the word hope is never mentioned in this passage, but this is a passage that to me breathes hope into my understanding of who we are and the mission that lies ahead for us and who we can be for one another and how God wants to use us. So 2 Corinthians chapter 7, Nina and I were watching a documentary on Netflix this week called The Last Blockbuster. It's kind of fluff and nostalgia about the Blockbuster era. When, remember when we used to say, you want to watch a movie tonight? Okay, we're going to go out and we're going to rent, was a VCR, then it was a DVD. And one of the things I noticed, though, in this documentary, is Nina and I got talking about it, was that the theme of people saying what they missed was all of the many micro human interactions. They missed, if they're a regular movie watcher, going and having, one of the store clerks being able to say, hey, a movie came in I think you would like. Or I wouldn't recommend this movie. I know you're going to rent it, but it's probably not that good. And they said even if they still rented it and they brought it back again, and it kind of confirmed, and they said, yeah, it wasn't very good. Thanks for letting me know. But it created a bit of a bond. Hey, we understand movies the same way. There are micro human touch points that many of the people said that's one of the things they missed the most, even though now we have the convenience of streaming services, and that thing is a bygone experience of the past. And it got Nina and I thinking, what are some of the other areas in our lives where human interactions are being replaced by things that make it more convenient, but we just don't connect as much? And you could probably think of some as well, right? So I was thinking of mobile phones, which are so convenient, and I love it. But now we call people, not places. That's something we didn't used to do. We used to call places, not people. The idea of calling a person was foreign to us a generation ago. When I was a teenager, if I wanted to talk to my friend Johnny, I don't know if I had a friend Johnny, but he exists in the mythical world of my youth. If I was to call Johnny's house, I called his house. I didn't call Johnny, I certainly didn't text Johnny. And I said, hi, Mrs. McGillicuddy, because Johnny might answer the phone, but another family member might answer the phone. So then there's social skills that are learned to say, Mrs. McGillicuddy, I don't know if anyone's called McGillicuddy, but Mrs. McGillicuddy, is Johnny home? And she might ask me, oh, sure, what are you guys going to be doing? Setting up? I want to know if he wants to come over to play. So at the time, it seems like an inconvenience, but it creates social interaction. I was thinking of gas station attendants, minor micro interaction, but gone. Now self-checkout versus cashiers versus shopping online now completely. Home television, we used to complain that the family circle had been replaced by the family semicircle. And now the family semicircle seems like a pretty great deal compared to all the micro circles of individuals with their own screens in the house, whether it's personal computers or it's their own televisions doing their own thing. We are increasingly isolating ourselves long before COVID hit. And then this last year, just, what it kind of did is it turned up the dial to say, do you see where you're headed? If you're headed in that direction, take a look at an extreme version of that. And this last year, we have been experiencing, on steroids, this detachment from all of the many micro human interactions and some of the more meaningful and precious human interactions. And it makes me think of the church, the value of the church, which has always been there, but now more than ever, say, what we need is a global movement of human beings who get together to really connect heart to heart. There's nothing like it. To get together, heart to heart, and then to lean into each other's lives to say, how can I be there for you? And then once we have done that, to say, now how can we be there for the world around us? And we're going to do that together. I think the church is needed more than ever because there's nothing quite like it on the planet, and it meets a fundamental human need. God knew what he was doing when he designed this thing called the church. I should also mention, along with Carmen, I just want to echo that our hearts go out to those of you who are just walking and moving through this world with a greater weight of rejection or judgment or prejudice or racism or bias. Our Asian sisters and brothers, I was just thinking, learning this week how over this last year, acts of violence and aggression towards Asians in Canada specifically has risen. Vancouver police say that just in Vancouver it's risen, not just doubled, it's risen 700% over this last year. And as I talk to some of my sisters and brothers, I hear that it doesn't matter whether or not you've experienced something directly. It changes how you go out the door and how you move through this world, just wondering, is my next interaction going to be something that is aggressive towards me? Or is that person's being quiet because they're just in a bad mood? Or does it have something to do with me? I mean, it just creates an emotional weight that some of our brothers and sisters in the church carry with them into this world, and we stand together. We are family. We just want to say, you're home. You're home with us, with family. And we want to lean into this idea of family all the more. I mean, what we really need is a church, is a movement that says we gather together to regularly practice what it means to fully see each other and get each other and be compassionate toward each other and to push back the barriers, whether they be race or they be socioeconomic class or they be gender, whatever, or their age and stage in life, whatever ways our world categorizes people, we push those back and we practice a radical togetherness. This is the hope of the world, God working through the church. Here's what I noticed in this verse. I was reading 2 Corinthians 7 this week for something else I was studying, and then this verse just leapt out at me. 2 Corinthians 7, verse 6. Now, Paul has, there's been tension between Paul and the Corinthian church. We learn about that in 1 Corinthians. And he has rebuked them for taking advantage of grace and not really living out the gospel. And now he's wondering, have they received it? And Titus goes and visits the Corinthians, and he confirms that they have benefited from Paul's challenge to them. And then he comes back to Paul with the encouragement. And Paul doesn't just say, Titus really encouraged me to hear that news. Here's how Paul words it. He says, but God, who comforts the downcast, comforted us by the coming of Titus. When Titus returned with the good news, it was God speaking through Titus. When Titus encouraged us, it was God encouraging us. When Titus comforted us, it was God comforting us. He comforted us, this God who comforts the downcast, through the coming of Titus. And not only by his coming, but also by the comfort that you had given him. So he says the whole Corinthian church, you all as the church poured into Titus, that was God. That was God moving through you. And then when Titus came and encouraged us with the good news, that was God comforting our hearts through Titus. And this one verse just made me wake up and say, oh yeah, we all know this, but I want to pay more attention. I want to pay more attention to the fact that at any given time, God wants to work through me to bring encouragement into someone's life. He wants to work through you to bring encouragement into someone's life. And he wants to bring encouragement into your life through the church. That's his primary MO. He wants to do this through the Tituses in your life. That means that we need to make decisions that place us in proximity with the Tituses around us. When we do, God will flow through us to them and through them to us. But we'll have to make that decision to place ourselves in proximity with them. I think Jesus encourages me down this road of kind of waking up to my own role as a Titus. When I see how he really gets people, sees people, notices people, he's really present with them. There's a few times in the Gospels where it talks about Jesus having compassion on people. And what we see there is a pattern. First, he sees them. He notices them. He pays attention to them. And from there, he has compassion on them. And then from there he acts. And sometimes he acts to heal, sometimes he acts just to feed them food, sometimes he acts to teach them, sometimes he acts by inviting his disciples to pray with him for them. An example, Matthew 9:33. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them because they were harassed and helpless like sheep without a shepherd. First he sees, and then he feels, and then he will go on to act. Mark 6:34. When Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. So he began teaching them many things. First he sees, then he feels, then he acts. First he sees, then he feels, and then he acts. And I wanted this week just encourage us, in our home churches especially, to keep this pattern of Jesus in mind. First he sees, then he feels, and then he acts. We're a church that is very action-oriented. We like to get stuff done. I'm so glad that we are. We don't just talk about it, we love to do stuff. The other thing we do is we do talk about it. We're a teaching-oriented church. We love to learn. We love to learn and we love to do. We love to learn and we love to do. Those, I think, are strengths of ours. It's beautiful. One of my weaknesses personally, and I don't know, maybe it's yours too, is actually just slowing down enough to feel, to enter in, to notice and be. As a pastor, I mean, I love learning, I love scripture, and I want us to apply it. So my default is always to say, what's the right answer here? What do we need to learn? And I'm noticing in my own life, in my interactions with people around me, that default is not always the right first maneuver, the first gesture, the first direction to head into. When someone's in pain, sometimes they just need you to be with them and to feel what they feel rather than to simply teach truth, even if it's hope, even if it's a word of encouragement. One of the most hope-filled gestures we can make is to first be with someone, even to be with them in their hopelessness, so that from that position with them, we can then begin to point toward the light. We do that at the Meeting House through home church. And I encourage you, I mean, primarily, we do it in different ways, but primarily we do this through home church. I occasionally have this conversation. I've had it again this week, the week before. And I say occasionally, I mean kind of on the weekly, where someone will contact me and say, Bruxy, when's the church getting together again? I mean, in person, I really miss the human contact. I so resonate with that. I'm with you. I want to hang out again in this place and other places like it across all our parishes. And then I think, oh, maybe soon. And then the third wave comes and they go, maybe not so soon. But I'm always reminded that we can get together, not just online, but also in person in these smaller units that we have called home churches. And then our huddles within our home churches. We can do this. And especially now as the weather's getting better, we can begin to have our walks in the park, our front porch visits, our home churches meeting in the backyard together. And often when someone says to me, Bruxy, when's the church meeting again in person? Because other churches are, and when are we going to? And we really need to. Some people are more militant. When are we going to take a stand against the government? Other people are just asking, do you think you have a timeline for this? And often I'll ask, well, when is your home church getting together first? I mean, are you already starting to meet together now? And more often than not, the people who are most desperate for Sunday services to start happening again will say, oh, yeah, I'm not really in a home church, but I'm waiting for Sunday. And I've just got to say, folks, this is a cultural misunderstanding of what the New Testament means when it says church. Church is an intimate, interactive space where everyone participates together, leans in and sees one another and feels with one another and then acts together. And Sunday services are a great complement to that. They really are. But when Sunday services aren't happening in person, church can still be happening. And that it's the primary, don't make Sunday services bear the weight of what the New Testament means when it talks about church. It's not fair. It's not right. It's a misunderstanding. So I encourage you this week, go to our website and look for a home church that's near you. And if you, we also have a home church, online home church for people who are international or far away. Find a home church that's close to you, though, that maybe be starting to meet in person anytime soon, or maybe they already are. Get to know the people. And when you hang out together, can I just say this to wrap up? Let's take time, even this week in your home church, to practice some of the empathy of Jesus, to see, to feel, and then to act. But first to see and then to feel. I think of the difference between sympathy and empathy. Sympathy is great, but I think empathy is even better. Empathy is when you feel what others are feeling. Whereas sympathy is when you feel the feelings that their feelings make you feel. And you become aware of how their feelings are make you feeling, and you feel those feelings. And that's a great first start. You weep kind of on behalf of someone else's pain. But there is a level that Jesus teaches us of actually entering into the pain of someone else. I'll give you one example to close. You know the shortest verse in the Bible? The shortest verse in the Bible, what is it? Jesus wept. Jesus wept. John 11:35. That happens in the context of Jesus showing up after Lazarus has died to raise Lazarus from the dead. And that's what Jesus knows intellectually. There's no reason to cry. There's every reason for hope. This is a moment pregnant with the miraculous. And Jesus shows up, and Martha has a question for him, so he responds intellectually to her intellectual question to her. She has something to say, he has something to say back. When he meets Mary, Mary's just crying, and the people around Mary are crying. And it says in John 11 that when he saw, once again, when he saw her crying, he was moved emotionally for her pain, and then he wept. Jesus didn't meet her just directly with the word of hope. He met Mary in her hopelessness first, and he felt her hopelessness with her. Then he leads her out towards hope. This week, I would love for us just to take time to meet people where they're at. You can do that in home church. You'll see it in your home church notes. But let us all in our relationships take time to stop and to see and to be with one another. I want to turn us over to our local parishes and give us some hangout time. And so just to remind you what Carmen said earlier, as we wrap up this, you go back to our website on the teaching page and scroll down from the live stream, and there will be links there for all of our different parishes. And if you are beyond the physical connecting point with any one of these parishes, still join us. Just pick whatever one you want and join in and get to know some people. I think it's going to be a wonderful chance for us to be the church, which really is God's plan A for bringing hope into this world. Okay, God bless you as you go and hang out together.